Welcome to the J-Spot, the place where we stimulate the most sensitive parts of your brain.
So it is February 16th, 2026. And I have to ask, have you looked at the news? Because if you have, you get the sense that the tectonic plates of American politics, they haven't just shifted.
Oh, they've completely rearranged themselves.
Exactly.
Rearranged is, putting it mildly, it feels like we woke up on another planet. We're looking at a New York City where Zoran Mamdani, a 34-year-old Democratic socialist,
A former rapper,
a guy who makes TikToks about the G train, is sitting in City Hall as the mayor.
It's a massive moment. But here's the mission for our deep dive today. We're not just doing a biography of the mayor. We need to figure out the mechanism here.
Right.
Because looking at our sources, we've got deep analysis from the New Republic, strategy breakdowns from Eyes Media. People are calling this a blueprint.
The Mamdani model, yeah. And the big question is this just a weird New York fluke? Because let's be honest, New York is its own little world.
It is its own ecosystem.
Or does this signal a real change in how politics works? Because this wasn't just one guy winning. It triggered something huge.
It did. So we're going to break down three things. First, how he completely rewrote the language of the election from crime to cost of living.
Okay.
Second, the digital strategy that somehow bridged Gen Z and Gen X. And finally, the hangover, the harsh reality of governing now that the party's over.
Let's start with that strategy. I was reading the piece from the New Republic, and they use this term I think is so important. Paulingism. It sounds like a disease.
It sort of is, politically speaking. Paulingism is the standard Democratic playbook. It relies on something called the median voter theorem.
Right. You find the exact middle of the bell curve and you just run straight for it.
You run for the center. Yeah. You ignore the edges. You basically mirror what the median voter says they want.
So if voters say crime, you put on a cop jacket.
Precisely. It's totally reactive. But Mamdani did something incredibly risky. He rejected that and went for persuasion instead. I mean, if you look back at early 2025, the polls were screaming crime.
It was the number one issue. The playbook says you have to talk about crime.
And he just didn't, which seems on its face like political suicide.
How do you just ignore what everyone is scared of?
Well, he made a bet. He bet that the polls were a snapshot of anxiety, not a policy preference. He decided to create the electorate he needed.
Instead of chasing the one that existed.
Right. So he just hammered on rent, on groceries, on childcare. He basically said, you're not scared of your neighbor. You're scared you can't afford to live next to him.
And this is the part that blew my mind in the data. It actually worked.
It worked vividly. By election day, the exit polls showed a massive flip. 55% of voters cited cost of living as their number one issue.
And crime was down to what, 22%?
Only 22. He didn't just win the argument. He changed what the argument was about.
That's that bully pulpit concept, right? You control the conversation. But does changing the conversation actually get people to turn out?
That's the key metric. And this is the Mamdani effect on demographics. In the 2021 mayoral race, youth turnout, that's 18 to 29, was abysmal. We're talking 11%.
Which is basically a rounding error. That's nobody.
It's non-existent. But in Mamdani's victory, that number surged to nearly 40%.
40%. That is, I mean, statistically, that's almost impossible in local politics. A surge is usually like 2 points.
It validates the data we pulled from Tufts University. Their research has been saying for years that young voters aren't apathetic. They're not lazy.
They're just on the sidelines.
Exactly. Waiting for a candidate who speaks directly to their economic survival, not just, vague platitudes.
Well, speaking of speaking directly to them, we have to get into the digital game. I went through this report from Eyes Media, and it makes other campaigns look like they're on dial-up.
Oh, totally. This wasn't hello, fellow kids energy.
No.
It was internet native.
Oh.
Built by people who actually live online.
They called the strategy halalflation.
Halalflation. I mean, what brilliant branding.
For anyone listening who hasn't seen it, Mamdani is just standing in line for a halal cart talking to his phone.
About how the price of chicken over rice has gone up $4.
It's funny, it's relatable, but it's actually a really sharp economic critique. It anchors this huge concept inflation to an experience every New Yorker has.
Or the Subway Takes interview. He's not on a podium. He's just ranting about the G train being late like a normal person.
And the stunts. I mean, the man jumped into the freezing ocean in a full suit to dramatize a rent freeze. That's YouTuber stuff, not mayor stuff.
It is exactly what a YouTuber does. It's visual, it's memeable, and it communicates the policy instantly. You see the guy freezing, you think, rent freeze?
You don't need a white paper.
No. But the Eyes Media report points out something even more interesting. It wasn't just the campaign pushing this. It was the Hot Girls for Zoran phenomenon.
Which was a grassroots movement, to be clear.
Totally. The campaign didn't start it, but their genius was validating it without making it cringe. They let the voters own the brand.
The stats are just wild. Social media conversations about him outnumbered his rival, Andrew Cuomo, by 30 to 1.
30 to 1. That's absolute dominance. It made supporting him a social signal. It made it cool. But, and this is the real blueprint part, it wasn't just for the kids.
Right.
They had this strategy called the generational straddle.
Because you can't win New York City with just 25-year-olds. You need the grandmas and queens. You need the union workers.
Exactly. And the messaging was completely bifurcated. For Gen Z, it was TikTok, fast cuts, social justice language.
And for Gen X and boomers.
That was all on Facebook and email newsletters. And the tone was completely different. It was all reassurance.
Right, because older voters get scared when they hear revolution.
Yes. When he talked to Gen Z about defunding, it was about radical change. But on Facebook, he framed those same budget shifts as efficiency and quality of life.
We're not burning it down. We're just making your commute faster.
That's it. So he built this coalition of DSA activists and middle-aged union members who just wanted the trash picked up. It's an incredible needle to thread.
Okay, so he wins. But the ripple effect is even crazier. This is the why you should care part of our dive.
This is the national Mamdani Effect. The numbers from Run for Something are, well, they're historic. Since the 2024 election and his primary win, over 67,000 people have signed up to run for office.
67,000. Give me some context for that.
Okay, that total is more than the signups from Donald Trump's entire first term. The whole resistance boom.
Yeah.
This blows it out of the water.
Wow.
And get this, in just the 2 weeks after Mamdani's primary win, 10,000 young people signed up.
It's like a dam broke. People saw it was possible and just rushed the field.
It's what AP News calls building the bench.
Yeah.
For so long, progressives were obsessed with the presidency.
Right. The big national races.
But they were getting blocked. So the strategy shifted to local wins mayors, school boards. Mamdani is the proof of concept.
There's that great anecdote in The Guardian about a guy named Eric Clemson. He's a machinist in Hawaii.
Nowhere near New York.
He watched Mamdani's debate on YouTube and just decided, you know what? I'm running for local office.
That's the power of a model. It demystifies the whole process. If a guy who raps about the subway can run the biggest city in America, why can't a machinist run for city council?
But, and there's always a but, winning is the fun part, governing is pros. And now we have to look at the New York and Manhattan Institute reports. He's in the chair, and reality looks expensive.
It's the classic hangover. In Albany, they call it Tin Cup Day. When the mayors come begging for money, Mamdani testified he managed to reduce a projected $12 billion deficit down to $7 billion.
Okay, cutting $5 billion sounds impressive.
It is.
Yeah.
But $7 billion is still a massive hole. And you can't meme your way out of a $7 billion deficit.
So what's the plan?
He's doubling down, pushing for a wealth tax, demanding more cash from Albany. But that is a heavy, heavy political lift.
And then there's the big one, the rent freeze. It was the centerpiece of his campaign. But can he actually do that legally?
This is where it gets really messy. The mayor doesn't have a magic wand for rent. The rates are set by the Rent Guidelines Board, the RGB.
Okay, but he appoints the board, right? So he just tells them what to do.
Not exactly. They serve fixed terms. And here's the kicker. The outgoing mayor, Eric Adams, appointed 4 new members to that board right before he left.
Oh, wow. A parting gift.
More like a landmine, a strategic roadblock. The analysis suggests Mamdani likely cannot get a majority on that board to vote for a rent freeze until January 1st, 2028.
2028. That's 2 years into his term. So for 2 years, he has to tell the voters who elected him for that promise, sorry, your rent is going up anyway.
Exactly. And that is so dangerous for a populist. Your brand is, I fight for you, but the rent goes up. It's a huge problem.
Do they have any recourse? Can he fire them?
He's hinted he might try to remove them for cause.
For a cause. That usually means, like, embezzlement, not I don't like how you vote.
Right. It's a huge legal gray area. There's this action called quo warranto, which sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
I was going to say, did he go to Hogwarts?
It challenges someone's right to hold office. But the precedent for removing board members just for a policy disagreement It's almost non-existent. It would be a massive legal fight.
So he's stuck between breaking a promise and starting a legal war.
Welcome to the job, Mr. Mayor.
So we've got the budget fight, the rent fight.
Yeah.
But he has put some points on the board, right? He's not totally paralyzed.
No, and it's important to remember he has a track record. Before being mayor, he pushed through the free bus pilot, one route per borough. He got the Mann Act passed.
Which is for demographic data.
Right, huge for representation. And he reformed the State Administrative Procedure Act.
That sounds incredibly boring.
It is, but it shows he knows how the gears of government actually work. He's not just a talker.
He's going to need that, because the controversies haven't stopped. The Eyes Media report details that campaign finance audit.
The foreign donations, yeah.
They found about $13,000 from foreign addresses.
Including his mother-in-law in Dubai.
Which is, strictly speaking, illegal.
It is. Now, they refunded it. It wasn't a ton of money. But his opponents use it to paint a picture of outside influence.
And that tied right into the Israel-Palestine issue, which was the other big flashpoint.
A huge one. He was very vocal about a Gaza ceasefire, refused to condemn certain protest slogans.
And the establishment hammered him for it.
They tried to make the whole election about foreign policy, which is usually a trap for a mayor. But he survived by just relentlessly pivoting.
Back to the cost of living.
Always. He didn't back down from his stance, but he kept bringing the conversation back to livability, essentially saying, I hear you, but can you afford eggs right now? And he bet that voters cared more about that. And he was right.
So let's bring this home. What does it all mean? He won by doing the opposite of what consultants tell you to do. He didn't moderate. He built this incredible digital machine.
The big takeaway, for me, comes from the New Republic. It's this idea of the rejection of fatalism.
Say more about that. A lot of people feel pretty fatalistic about politics.
Well, there's this belief that the electorate is fixed.
Right.
That you have your conservatives, your liberals, and you just fight over the three guys in the middle.
The mythical swing voters.
Right. But Mamdani's win suggests the electorate is malleable. It's plastic. If you make an argument forcefully and connect it to people's actual pain, you can move people. You can turn non-voters into voters.
You can make the rules instead of just following them.
You can change the game. And that's why you're seeing those 67,000 people signing up to run. They realize the game isn't fixed if you play it differently.
That's a hopeful note, even with the budget crisis looming. And speaking of people who aren't afraid to shake things up, a quick shout out to Joanne Santiago down in Texas. We see you.
Absolutely.
Keep going. I guess the final question, the one that keeps ringing in my head, is about scalability. This worked in New York City, a unique place, high rent, lots of renters, very young. Can this Mamdani model work in a red state? Can you run this kind of campaign in Ohio or Florida and win? Or is this just a New York story?
That is the question every political strategist in the country is asking right now. And I think the 2026 midterms are going to give us our first real answer.
Well, we will be watching. That is all the time we have for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
The J Spot is a J. Breyer Allen production, edited by Gisette Garcia,